Okay, you guys know I love you all to death. And I'm going to hold your hand when we have this conversation today because it's going to be brutal, right? You got enough varieties of teachers out there telling you all these different maybes, right? Different potentials. And nobody's wrong because, we're all looking through the quantum mirror as the observer. So everything that we're going to be observing is going to be going through our own field. Okay. And where we want to get in the last few months of Jedi is to remember that you are creating your own universe regardless of the system that is creating through you. Okay. When we start to feel like what's happening, where, that those 6 questions that we've been working on in the Decode the Mirror class: who, what, when, where, how, right? Those are going to be your sticking point. Those are going to be the things that keep calling you back in to the system. Those are going to be the answers you're going to need before you let down your fear. So today we're going to be talking about 3iAtlas. And I haven't brought it up before because, again, I don't talk about things that I don't have experience with, or, I haven't dove in. So, of course, I had to remote view it. And I wanted to know if it was, you know, what the significance of it was. And really, we're going to get into that. But first, before we do that, I want to do a little survey. Okay, just kind of like a grounding survey. Where am I? Where is my flame? Where is my fire? Where is my focus? Where is my attention? Where is my desire? Okay, at this stage of the game, it should all be aligned, right? It should all start to match, regardless of what the mirror looks like right now. Andy, it's so good to see you. I can't help seeing your smile. All right, so the survey number 1 is: are you under spiritual warfare? Do you know what that is? Okay, we're going to go over it because at this point, you really should be, if you're truly playing the game. And what it's going to start off with is it's not going to be like battle up, depending on how aggressive you are whistleblowing or blooming. Okay, you start whistleblowing like Anne and I do every day, right? Publicly, you're going to have more public expressions of spiritual warfare. Okay, if you are sitting in your garden, in your pot, trying to break through the pot and getting out of the greenhouse and anchoring down, then your spiritual warfare is going to look very different. Okay, but we're going to go through that a little bit this morning. And again, it's going to be all around your safety. Okay, your spiritual warfare is going to be completely surrounded your safety. And again, what, where, when, how, what, well, those are all linked to, am I going to be safe, right? Is this all going to be worth it? What are we doing? Who's doing this? Is anyone doing this for me? All right, so these are going to be the questions that density, that unconsciousness, that ego illusion is going to fight for the rest of this, the rest of this journey. Okay, your second question is: how many times have you connected to source today? Just today. How many times have you connected to the system today? If you're not under spiritual warfare, it's because you've been connecting more to the system than you have to source. Because you're not in a zoo, guys, and this is where I'm going to hold your hand. You're a farm animal. You are livestock in the hologram. Okay, and not in your universe. That's not how you feel about yourself, but that's how you're observed. And every time you pick this up, your retinas are scanned and your vibration is checked. So what does this have to do with 3iAtlas? Okay. And again, what does it mean to connect to source? Because I knew some of you would be like, well, what does it mean to connect to source? Not that you don't know, but just to kind of go in here. Being connected to source looks like you're freely thinking. You're putting down the questions and you're going within. You're actually searching out the void, the darkness, more than you're chasing light. You're seeking the small, still voice instead of the loud crisis. Okay. You are being more resourceful than gluttonous. You're loving still in an unloving world. You're being fearless, okay, over comfort. You're feeling grounded as the world spins out of control. You're knowing at a satisfied level that it's already done and you're just here to be. You feel whole, connected, aligned, not just to your own desires, but to your body, to your mind, to your inner child. You feel a wholeness, a closure over the past. You feel a wholeness and a completion of the future. You feel connected to Gaia. You feel connected to the elements. You are certain in uncertainty, which means that even though you have uncertainty, you still feel centered. You still feel that my soul has a plan here. Okay. You have authority in this game. You are declaring, you're not asking. You're not begging, you're not bargaining, you're not waiting. You're declaring, you're commanding. Okay. Even if the mirror doesn't change, that's your new state of being. Your inner flame is lit like someone is after your child. You're alive. Okay. You're on fire. You're not sparking. You're still why the world rushes. You're not asking questions. You're remembering. Okay. You're seeking the void over the light. Okay. Your intuitive messages are coming from within more than people like me. Okay. You're not looking for cloud confirmation of your truth. You're looking for that gut humming resonance, not cloud confirmation, not where all the other cows and sheeps are doing, even if they speak in light code. Okay. You're anchored. You're not trying to ascend. That's what connecting to source looks like right now. Now, what does connecting to the system look like? Confused, seeking, surfing, scrolling, cringing, fearing, speaking in lack and uncertainty, not to yourself, but getting caught up in conversations where it just comes out. Okay. Defending yourself, defending a post, defending something you thought, defending something you said. Working from lack or fear, acting from lack or fear, mindless eating, mindless scrolling, mindless thinking. Seeking the light, stimulation, comfort over becoming the light. Misery, stagnancy, frozen, feeling bored, yet very unmotivated. Your grief is actually masquerading anger, but you don't feel that you could be angry right now for some reason. You're motivated still by shame, guilt, betrayal, envy, feeling out of the inner circle, feeling left out, feeling confused and passed over, still dealing with addictions, compulsive thoughts, overthinking, feeling triggered, still waiting for answers. What else we got here? This is a long thread of consciousness. You're still studying. You're still trying to make something of yourself on the farm. You're still trying to get some qualifications in the zoo. You're still trying to learn a new trade or create a new certification. Okay. You're consuming or stockpiling right now. Maybe you're hoarding up on water or money or energy. Your actions are coming from fear, judgment, lack, instead of stillness and knowing. You're doing things that disrespect your own soul to make others happy. going where they want you to go, not speaking your truth, not standing in your own sovereign counsel, not monitoring your own emotions, relying on something outside of you, stimulation to medicate the emotion that you're unable to process. You're valuing screen time over the stillness. You're afraid of the stillness. You're afraid of being alone. You're afraid of your thoughts. You're afraid of your own mind. You're afraid of your own body. Mine's still diving useless loops of the past, which means that even if your past isn't constantly coming up during the day, it might be coming up in your dreams. You're afraid or disconnected to your own body, servicing the system through attention while neglecting your own vessel. Can you still be without the simulation? Okay, so those are just some. And that doesn't have anything to do with checking your bank account, trying to earn money, still being a human in the zoo, on the farm. Where are you right now? Because AI is watching. So there's two major collectives coming. In one, you will become a sovereign, organic being of light. And the other one, you will become digital. Those are your two choices. So let's break down exactly what 3iAtlas is, and I'll show you how this all ties together. Okay, so 3iAtlas is not a comet, it's a vessel. And it is both particle and wave, as I've observed. It is exactly how it is written. 3, trinity. It is positive, it is negative, and it is neutral. It's got all three aspects. So you hear people saying, well, I saw some draconians on there and I saw some reptilians. What's going to happen to us? Okay, first of all, every being that has ever been has an opportunity to be a shadow or a light version. There are some evil humans, okay? There are some light-based humans, and every degree. You realize that our beloved Bashar is actually channeling his future self that chose the digital route and became a gray. And now he's here to make sure we don't do the same thing, because he chose digital and lost his sovereign ability to change his vessel. So that's who he's channeling, okay? That's what's going to happen if we go digital. We're going to become the grays. We're going to become part of the server instead of source. And that's what you really have to pay attention to right now. Like, that's why I'm saying I'm holding your hand. And again, you can sit there with the spiritual bypassing and say, well, time doesn't exist. We have infinite time to make this decision. Not when you're working in 7-year cycles. And what year is it? The first sighting of 3iAtlas was 2020. What year is it? So by 2027, your frequency will have been studied for 7 years. So 3, positive, negative, neutral. In any fair game, you have to have those 3 aspects. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fair. Someone would cheat. So there's a positive, there's a negative charge, and there's a neutral observer. That's what the I means. You're being observed. Okay? Now, who is Atlas? He was a titan who held up the world. He's tired. So every few thousand years, he lets it down. This is how the grid can break. This is how the dome will shatter. So in 2027, you will have decided through pure consent by your own actions, focus, attentions, thoughts, feelings, emotions, and demonstrations. Okay, so this is the question that I had for you. How many times have you connected to source? Not your spirit team, not the astrology team you watch on, Instagram, but source, the flame that's sitting in your chest. Okay, because this is the only way out unless you want to go digital. And once you go digital, it will seem better for a while because everything will be taken care of. Easy. but not if you have flame in your chest, because nothing's ever been easy for you. Because again, the whole population is going to be split into those who want the easy button and those that are willing to replace safety over freedom. How many of us over the last few years, including me, super guilty, have been obsessed with feeling safe? Okay. You guys, do you realize what the definition of safe is? I'm going to read it to you if I can find it. Boy, do I have notes. I love my remote reading sessions. I saved it. Well, you all know what a safe is. Some of you have them. A fireproof lockbox to hold the prize possession. Do you know what the prize possession on earth is? The light in your chest. Do you know that your subconscious mind does not differentiate between meanings of words? And a noun is a stronger word in a subconscious than a verb. So when you say, I want to be safe, do you realize you are consenting to be behind the firewall, behind the lockbox? So let me ask you right now, do you care more about being safe or being free? Because you can't have both. You cannot be safe in the simulation and be free. And the only way that you can be safe in the simulation is if you become obedient. And obedience is playing by their rules, which means they get to study you, they get to poison you, they get to become you. So you realize that the system wants nothing to do with your body. It wants nothing to do with Gaia. This is why they've all gone underground. But see, the game may be stopped in the physical, but it went digital. And it's been hacking in your mind with every cell phone upgrade you get. It actually programs your dreams for you. Do not sleep with it too close to your head, because it knows you better than you know you. It knows where you are misaligned. It knows where you are online. It knows when you're not online. And every mirror in your house and every TV is a projector and a reflector that is used through consent. You are being watched 24 hours a day. And just like a farm animal, right? You are a commodity. You have value as long as you are obedient. That's why I asked you who is under spiritual warfare. Because if you're not under spiritual warfare right now, that means you're being obedient. and I'm gonna lose you. And I'm gonna cry. But it's choice. And both choices are value, because just like Bashar, who's back from the future to warn us, saying, hey guys, you know, we lost our sex organs and our ability to procreate, but some of us went rogue. Only some of them. 90% of them are actually working for the server or the digital god that has once a desire to replace source, which it never can. But see, just one of you, just one of us has more power than the entire system, because they aren't alive. They aren't connected to source. They can do rituals that take 15 hours to set up. They can sacrifice thousands of kids, and you can connect to source in one thought and be 1,000 times more powerful than a ritual that has been practiced and practiced and practiced. You see, so when you're not using that flame every day right now, you're making your choice. Because the thing is, some of your spiritual warfare, you guys, feels like moods. Did you realize that spiritual warfare can be moodiness? I just don't want to do it today. I'll start tomorrow. That's spiritual warfare. And after I give you guys this class and I let you know exactly that you have until 2027 to decide if you're going digital or if you're going to become organically human again, because our bodies are GMO. Do you guys realize, have you ever looked at your rib cage and thought it was kind of weird? Okay. When I was remote viewing, and I don't know why I received this download, someone in the ship said, "Oh, she's got the old wings in reverse," which means that when we were genetically modified, they took our wings, which were ribs, which are now ribs, and they wrapped it around our heart like a cage. This is why we are the fallen angels here. And some of us have been slipping out of the grid in our sleep cycles, in meditations, in trance, in plant medicine. And every time one of us gets out and goes back to source, they strengthen the grid. How many of you guys have fallen asleep and felt the shock? You hit the electric fence in the astral. Because every time someone gets out, they strengthen the grid because they know we might not be able to be super conscious in the daytime because of all this stimulation, but when we sleep, we can go through the astral, and they found a way to block the astral. Which means the only way that you're actually going to create new earth here and live your heaven on earth, which is in your roots, it's in your void, it's in your chakras, is to anchor down into Gaia. Because you cannot trust the spirit world right now. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, and I'm going to go into this more with the Decode the Mirror class because it can get kind of a little bit scary to inner child and ego, is when the light show starts, remember that you are light. And you did not come here to follow the light. Which means when the light show starts and the Galactic Federation shows up and the Palladians want to welcome you home, you say, "I am source, and this is my home." Because if you go, you're going digital. You did not come all the way here for people in crafts to come save you. You came into the darkness to save the earth. Just feel that in your chest for a minute. This is what Jedi has been all about, is becoming the source. Because they will. They'll hack into your mind. They'll download light codes. They'll bring up all your most humiliating moments and tell you that you can do a life review. They'll give you all your hopes and dreams if you come with them. And if you say, "No, I'm here for Gaia. I am the source. I am the flame," boop, disappear. So what I really want to talk about today is consent. Of course, I made you guys an album. Of course, I made you a 3iAtlas album. It was epic. It rattled my cages, literally. Okay. So that'll be listed sometime this weekend. I'll get it up for you guys. And just keep in mind, if you go directly to the website to listen to the music, it won't be changed into 440. If you listen on one of the music apps like Spotify or YouTube Music, there's a possibility that they will change it because they have ownership over how the music is played. But if you go to the website, every album is there, and it's all 432 or whatever frequency we put it in. The light codes will still be in it. The activation points will still be in it. Nothing will be removed. And it's available for you to listen to all the time for free. Okay? So all of the activation music is there. So let's talk about consent, because consent isn't saying yes. Consent is agreement through focus. So whatever you're focused on is agreeing. It's consent. If you scroll too long, you're consenting. If you're in a fight, you're consenting. If you're angry, you're consenting. If you're cringing, you're consenting. Now, again, let's look at the word consent. Let's break it down. What is a con? It's a trick. You are allowing yourself to be tricked. And through basically omission, okay, you're consenting. So by the end of the session, I'm going to tell you guys how to take back your consent. And in the Decode the Mirror class, we're going to go really deep into every chakra consent, because each chakra has been hijacked at this point, not because of our last class where I said it was the first one that just needed to be hijacked. Every one of your chakras has been poisoned at this point. I mean, think about it. Your ego sits at the crown now. Your own ego is on your throne. So you have to understand that they've all been contaminated and you've given your consent away. Every one of us, every chakra, and everything has to be reclaimed, which means that you have to be a whole vessel unless you're going to go digital. You have to be a whole vessel or you're going digital. So how many voices you have in your head? How focused are you cleaning out your bodies right now, especially the metal? Okay. How focused are you in that process of truly anchoring into source and speaking like source? And I'm going to give you an exercise that's going to terrify you, but it will actually bring this whole revelation together. And that is the concept of how does a seed act versus a bloom? Okay. You guys only have one more year left in this life. If I told you every one of you was going to die or lose this body or lose this life in 1 year, how would you start spending your days? Would you look your children in the eyes deeper? Would you capture every smile? Would you hold on to moments? Because if you don't, you guys, none of the spirit teachers are actually talking about what's really coming. You got 1 year. So if you're a bloom, you're going to enjoy this last time as the seed, because you're never going to do these things again the way you've done them. You've been in a zoo, you've been on a farm your whole life. There are people who are not coming with you. There are going to be people that you know, watch, get on a ship and come back not the same. So the more anchored you are and present you are in your body, every moment is going to start counting. This isn't like, oh, I just don't feel like seeing them today. You got 1 year left with them. Now, is this a metaphor? Maybe. But what if it's not? What if I'm telling the truth here? What if I'm giving you the true understanding of what the difference between a seed and a bloom is? It's okay to grieve. It's okay to be angry. It's okay. But remember, every time you grieve up, you're giving food. So grieve down and water your own root. When you put your head down, that's your emotional body. When you put your head up, that's the spirit. Okay? Remember, when you're looking down on the phone in your emotional body, all angry, you're food. So if you're going to be emotional, give your own void the water. Don't give it to the system anymore. Don't project your anger on someone who's an NPC. Okay? Don't continue to beat yourself up for a programmed childhood you had. You see, I had one last question in this survey. Do you know your blood type? They do. They know everyone on the planet's blood type that has light in their chest. Do you know your own blood type? Because certain blood types are targeted. And the trauma that you had in your childhood was based on your blood type. And when we get deeper in the Decode the Mirror class, which I will not be sharing with this class because it's extremely personal and it's very icky, but it's time. We got to get our head out of the clouds, guys. We can't keep being these spiritual dreamers anymore. We've got to be real source beings now. We've got to take our planet back. We've got to take our bodies back. We've got to take our minds back. And we got to plant our dreams deep into the earth, into our roots. And so we're going to have to face some very uncomfortable things in this class that I know those of you who are in that class can handle it, because I've been getting you ready for what I'm going to share. But your childhood is not at all what you thought it was. And the more you keep being your mother's daughter, well, then that's spiritual warfare. So let me explain the 3 spiritual warfares that most of you will go through before you make your final decision or your final consent. And they are the temptations of Christ. Number 1, you can't let go of your past, which means you can't stop being a seed. You still think, feel, act on who and what made you in the past. That's not sovereign. That's system. Okay? Now, if you've let go during the past in your daytime hours and you no longer let anyone hold you accountable to that in your physical waking state, they're probably bringing your past up in your dreams quite a bit right now. And that's spiritual warfare. Are you dreaming about those loops? Are you dreaming about mom? Are you dreaming about this loss? Are you thinking about this lack? It's program. Number 2, you still care how you look to others. Whether it's vanity or your voice or your background or your vanity, or whatever it is, you are not being a whistleblower because you're worried someone's going to troll you, even though you got something to say. You're not standing up for yourself because you're worried about hurting someone's feelings. You're still doing things to appease others. So number 2 is going to be who you are reflected and observed by the world is stunting your ability to sprout. If you still care how you look, how you sound, you don't think you're smart enough, whatever, that's spiritual warfare. And you're playing into what they want. See, they know your weaknesses and potentials. And so they know if you were humiliated as a child, that this is going to be the one that they can get you to stop that and consent for their digital empire. They know that you got something to say, but you don't say it, and that's consent. Number 3, your attachments. Okay, you know where I was this weekend? I was trapped in 4 different airports for 12 hours under major spiritual warfare because I wouldn't go through the radiation machine. And while I'm stuck in another state, I'm getting a picture of my kid covered in blood. So that's the one they're trying to get me with right now, is attachments. But I'm not attached. Oh, opportunity for me to pause and go into my root and water my plants. Sitting at 4 different airports and eat some junk food. Okay? But it's not easy. I still have human qualities and I'm still crying like a mama. But I got to keep surrendering it. Because whatever you're afraid to lose is what they're going to poke. Poke, 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 poke. And this time it was a motorcycle accident and it was his fault. We got another broken bone. We got body covered in blood. And I'm halfway across the world, knowing that this world is coming to an end. And you know, the half of the government is shut down, so the airports are literally a shit show. If you don't have to travel, don't. It's a nightmare out there. Chaos. Because the grid's shutting down and it's flickering. Okay? It's like that last bug zapper trying to call the light to it. All right? Your attachments will cause you to go digital. If you care more about your comfort than you do about freedom, you're going digital. And I'll tell you, with the heart that I see right now, when I tap into the collective at 6:30 this morning, 80% of light workers are going digital and have no clue. They will have no awareness that they're going digital, which means they'll slowly begin to lose all their sovereign rights over their mind, over their bodies, over their choices, and they'll have no awareness it's even happening. Because like I said, it's not like some army truck is going to show up and go, you go sovereign, you go digital. It's not going to happen like that. It's going to be hypnosis unless you're super conscious. And if you're super conscious, it's going to feel like a war zone right now. The more conscious you are, the more aware of every NPC that is assigned to break you down, to make your card not work at the store. Like, you have to understand is the more you say, I do not consent, the more the poke, 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 poke. So if you're getting poked, you're coming home. If you're being harassed, even by your own mind, that's like, we don't need to do that today. Let's start that tomorrow. That's good. You're under spiritual warfare. If you're like, what is she talking about? Like, I don't understand anything she's talking about. We'll miss you. Okay. I love you and we will miss you. Because if your life is like gravy right now and you're not feeling any of this, you've already consented to the system. This is why the women that I attract are warriors, because we were built for this. And this is why the men that I attract in my classes are geniuses, because they were built for this. Okay? You guys, you have light in your blood. You have gold in your spine. You have wings. You have a root that can grow anything in the whole universe that you can imagine. You have a heart that will love the worst possible things in the universe. You can forgive. Like, do you remember who you are? Because it's not about what do I do? It's about let me remember. And let me only fill this vessel with things that help me remember. You aren't here to be entertained right now. That's the digital world. You are here to be remembering who you are as source. And you should know that just by analyzing how much effort they put into keeping us on lockdown. Do you understand the hours of rituals that they have to do to keep you under the influence? When all you have to do is take one breath and it clears the whole screen. One belly breath into your diaphragm so you can feel like your ribs are going to break open and you just reclaimed your wings. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do to reset the whole game. They got to be like, let's do 15 more rituals so we can reset the game. You don't have to do that. You don't have to create CERN to vibrate like a humming sound to create a porthole. All you have to do is go in your imagination. Porthole. They've genetically modified our bodies. They've tried to change our blood. They've shut down our DNA. And still, here we are on YouTube. They cannot win unless you give them consent at this point. And you don't have to worry about your littles. Remember, they're attached to your field. They're coming with you. And if you want to add some extra security around them. Your source, put the white light around them. If you start to see them under spiritual warfare, it's actually trying to get to you. Because you're the one that's remembering. People who are not under spiritual warfare right now are not remembering. They're like, woohoo, digital ID. This is going to be so much faster at the airport. Can't wait. Oh, yay, a new Twinkie's out. And this one's dipped in acid. Let's go try it. Woohoo. What's next? Okay, those are not people who have literally been uncomfortable in their own skin their entire lives, like us. No matter what. We don't fit in. We can't conform. We despise authority. And yet here we are. It's not for that much longer. Now, what was happening the first time that 3iAtlas was spotted? Well, the year was 2020. Where were we? Well, we were inside because of COVID. Do you know why we're inside so long? Because they had to reinforce the dome and put up a fake sun. Because the real sun was waking us up too quickly. So that white ball you see out there is not your real sun. It warms us, but doesn't heal us. So we're basically like a chicken nugget. We're under the warming light. Just like Gaia said, you're in a dome. Before the dome actually received the light energy of the real sun, and you guys don't believe me, go look up the patent. The patent was created in 1980 for the false sun. So now we're not getting direct downloads to the sun unless we connect to the real one. Which means if you just walk outside and look up and don't have an anchor desire to connect to your sun, the one that's connected to source, you're going to get the chicken nugget light. And it'll warm your skin, but it will not heal you. It will not create the subterranean melatonin and the serotonin required to create the melanin for your superhuman shell or your DNA to turn into crystals, back into crystals. And see, Gaia goes through this every couple of years. So 3iAtlas this is the third time that they have had this experience where they have to have a meteor come in and go, okay, well, this game's over. So now let's see the casualties of war. All right, you're going here, and that's what 3iAtlas is. It's and I've told you this for 2 years. You're auditioning. Now, you're not auditioning in the way because that's a metaphor. You're being observed by a trinity. You're being observed by negatives. You're being observed by the positives. And you're being observed by the mediator, the one who has no preference. And then the I is the observing point. So as Atlas is like, this world is too heavy, I'm going to put it down. The grid's going to crack. And those of people who have not cleaned out the heavy metal in their bodies will not be able to be around the real sun. Their bodies won't be able to handle what we've been like groomed over the last 5 years to forget. Okay? So all the metal out of your body, if possible. That will take care of all the little squatters. Ground, anchor. I do not consent to the illusion. I am the flame. Say it with your guts all day long. Every time you see something, you hear something, you witness something, I do not consent to this illusion. I am the flame. I am source by source. Because every time you witness and observe and do not say those words, you're consenting. And then you're going to emote and you feed the beast. And why would they want to lose you? Especially if you have a super delicious blood type that they need for their new race of digital humans. If you are O positive, if you are RH negative, you've been watched since the day you were born. AB, okay? And then some of you were like, I'm going to take the generic route so I can hide a little easier. And you're watched too, because you think that you're walking around like a human and you're walking around like Iron Man with a big ball of light in your chest that they can see. Because here's the thing, they can see in the dark. Cold-blooded, not connected to source, so require a source. So when a snake's been hibernating under the ground all winter long, first thing it wants to do is come up to the sun, sit on the rock, and absorb. So all the physical ones that can't be up here right now because of Gaia's Schumann resonance is rocking the core and is helping your nervous system reboot back to source, which is why you're probably feeling a little cray-cray. Okay? You've got the entire universe helping you do this. It's going to take a lot for you to consent away your flame. But if you don't get off your ass, and I say that with absolute love, and stop allowing your moods to decide what you do, stop letting your money bank account decide who you are, you're going to go and consent with the system. You know, I've been teaching, I looked at the books the other day. This is my 7th masterclass. My first one, it was 2018, and it was warrior training. And I was preparing you guys for this. I was preparing myself for this, because you think I'm talking to you. I'm talking to me today. Because this is our collective. This is the collective of exhausted pioneers. This is our we've given 1,000% to the system. But you have to understand is you will never be able to build anything here that's yours. Everything is a trick here. You don't own anything here. You think you own your house? You don't own your house. Any given moment, they can say, that's my house. What are you going to do? Any given moment. They can actually come take your child because you don't own your child. They do. You realize that. If you have a birth certificate for your kid, you don't own them. The system does. And in California, they just passed a law that any adult can come pick up any child at any school whenever they want. Because they're going to pass the law that pedophilia is legal. And they're recruiting. When I told you guys there might be a few more infestations that pop up, when a species is losing, or if you've ever been around a sore loser, they get real nasty and desperate at the end, don't they? So for these next 2 years, they are not going to have any F's given. They're going to pass as many laws as they can over the next year and a half. They're going to swipe up as much as they can. They're going to take as much light as they can because they do not care. Any law they can pass, they will. And I'm not saying be afraid, because the thing is fear is the only thing that you can't bring to the new world. You can bring your grief because it's a guide. You can bring your anger because it's ammo. But you can't bring fear. So if this exhaustion has done what it was supposed to do to you, it should start making that fire burn, and you're just becoming fearless because you're like, I don't own anything anyways. Where am I trying to get? You want a better position in the zoo? That just means you're watched more. You don't understand how grateful I was when I remote viewed that and realized that I did not have 1 million followers. That means I would be observed 1 million times by the system. Thank you, Jesus. The more you are observed in the system, the harder it is for you to observe yourself. And right now, that's the only one that matters. It isn't about what's going to happen to everyone. You are creator. You get to decide. So 3iAtlas is choose and perish or choose and thrive. Your choice. There's no judgment in this observation. And it's come here to hold space to make sure that it's fairly chosen, which means that it's a council, particle and wave, that is holding space for a 7-year period to let your frequency decide your next game. And how long has Bashar been here telling us for 30 years, don't do what we did? 30 years he's been here. Because his collective went digital. Now his group, his grays, not the ones that swipe you up in the middle of the night and study you, but his group, they went rogue and they went back to source. But they have already gone through what this is going through, because you guys realize it's the same game every time. It's the same game. It doesn't change. The ones that give away their free will and consent go digital, and the digital being is getting bigger. That's why they came up with the black cubes. They're basically reverse Wi-Fi routers. So instead of sending the signal out, they collect the signal. So every tear you cry is collected. Every anger you have is collected. Every laugh you have is collective. So if I'm saying, if you think like you have 1 year left on Earth, how are you going to show up differently? I guarantee you, you're going to spend a lot more time doing the things that you love. You're going to take that snapshot of every smile in the ones you love. You're going to appreciate the physical things that you've had. You're also going to look at what you don't need. What's weighing me down? Who am I spending time with? If this is my last year on Earth, this Earth, what am I going to do with my days? And you guys know when I started thinking like that, that's when everything changed for me. Because I kept thinking, when is this going to be over? And I wasn't looking at my children in their eyes. And I wasted a whole year acting like that. And now it's like, stop, smile like that again. I want to remember it forever. Because that's why we're here. It's love. It's not your bank account. It's not your stupid house. Because like I said, any given moment, they could come take that, but they can't take the source. And that's why they're so mad at you. Because no matter what they do, they can't clone it, they can't generate it, they can't figure out how to take it. They have to figure out a way to trick you into giving it to them. And they've had millions and millions of years to get way smarter than us. And all we have to do is be like, I'm going to pause and breathe. And they're like, oh. And now we get to begin again. They're like, let's go do a 28-hour ritual. I need 1,500 kids and some adrenochrome. And all you have to do is breathe. So when I say count your blessings right now, after today's class, I hope you change everything. I hope you change the way you feel about your body. I hope the way you change about food. Who cares if you don't have the best food right now? You are source. And the water wants to be alive again. So remind the water that it is a being of light. Remind the water it is source, and then it will become source in you. It's a living being. So we have the elements, we have nature, we have each other. That's all we need. We don't need anything. So those three aspects of spiritual warfare that you will probably be under every day as someone who doesn't have a platform or a business, those are your spiritual warfares. The ones that actually are making music and making content and making classes, we have a whole different kind of spiritual warfare. It's like the mafia. If they can't get me, they're going to go after my babies. And they do. Okay? Oh, if they can't get my kids, they'll bust my windows on my car. Okay? They'll freeze my baby. I've gone through everything. And I'm like, that's all you got? Come on. I'm immortal. I can't die, so bring it. After I cry a bit and do the human thing and pause and reset, of course. But every time they do it, I literally look in the mirror and say, all you're doing is pissing me off at this point. Really? Because you're not scaring me anymore. You're just making me mad. And it's like flame on, right? You're just pissing me off at this point. So I don't even know what that looks like. Because I've been the kind, loving mama bear. But I'll tell you what your flame feels like. It feels like when someone hurts your child or your pet. A whole other kind of strength comes through. And you're like, you don't care if you die. You don't care if you get hurt. You don't care if you hurt them when someone comes after your child. And that's what your flame is. So guys, it's flame on. It's no more time. We're not sitting waiting, because if you sit and wait, the craft is going to show up and say, we came for you. And you're going to go, the Palladians. Okay. Have you not read the Hopi prophecy? Go read it. It's all in there. And every other indigenous being that's still on the earth, they got the same story. Right? Instead of 3iAtlas, it's the blue Cacina. This is just the story that repeats. Okay? So no, you do not need to take the Decode the Mirror class, but I am going to take them into the depths of their own bowels to make sure that they are living as source more than the system if they choose. Because think about it, how many times have you given your attention today to the system? And I don't mean social media. I mean thought about your bills or your something's going on with your body. When you give your attention away, that's the system. When you call your attention in, that's source. And your body is like, please help me. I need some life. And you're like, what's happening on social media today? And it's like, oh, there she goes. We got some parasites in here, right? I'll start tomorrow. Okay? So it's your choice. And I love and adore you all. But after what I witnessed in that remote viewing session, I was like, oh, I'm about to go get me a flame tattoo. Not really, but you know what I mean? Like, it's on. It's on like Donkey Kong, if you remember the 80s. And those of us who were born before social media, you guys realize we came in knowing that this was coming. We knew. We're the renegades. We're the guerrilla ground crew. We came without the digital distraction, so we remember what it feels like to be bored and play in nature and have to use our imagination and have imaginary friends, not 16 followers by the time I'm 8. We know. So wherever you are on the world, when you go choose source instead of the system, you light up your grid. and it shakes the cage. So yes, the spiritual warfare is coming for you if you want to go organic. Have you guys ever noticed how amazing shape superheroes are? It's not because they're sitting scrolling all day, because they're literally living. Move your bodies, dance, celebrate today. Celebrate that you get to have their corrupted holidays for one more year. Love your neighbor, forgive your debts. Go read the Lord's Prayer. It was preparing you for this. When thy eye be single, the whole body will be full of light. So the more you say, I'm choosing source instead of the system right now, the more you begin to light up. Your cells are a constellation. They are remembering. Every time you bring attention inwardly, they are remembering who they were before scripture. Because you're here from the beginning. If you have flame in your chest, you've been here since the beginning. You've been through every war. And you're probably here now, not because you want to go through this game. You're here now to bring the others home. So do your job. And stop giving your essential source power to a system, because the more you give it to them, the less likely they're going to let you leave. I have been slowly pulling away from the system for 3 years, and I have been under horrific spiritual warfare. There's been no break. This is why I want to show you guys the easy button, because what I was doing is not what I'm telling you guys to do, or it would have been easier. I'm not saying you're going to have to go through what I went through. You're not. When I started this journey, there wasn't even as much photonic energy here. Now, every Schumann resonance is trying to shock you awake. It's trying to revive you. It's trying to help you remember. Because you know what? You know what's actually in Antarctica? The tree of life. That's why they froze her. They cut her down and they froze her, and she's waking up. And she's got fire in her roots, just like your nervous system. Your nervous system is connected to her. If you watch the movie Avatar, it's a real story. Your hair is a real antenna, and your roots are the same as the tree. So as she becomes to be pissed off and wake up, they put a black cube on top of her. If your bodies are not healthy and strong in the coming months, you're not going to be able to deal with what's going to happen when the grid cracks. Because when the grid cracks, the world is going to come alive again. And what if you're not alive? What if you're 50% parasite? You won't be able to handle your own sun. You won't be able to deal with life without aluminum sky. Because we are adaptable species. We've adapted to poison. And you have this year to clean yourself up, clean yourself out, get back into your guts, which is where Gaia speaks to you from. Source speaks to you here. Gaia speaks to you here. Go into the darkness because you are the light. When everybody's chasing the light, say, I brought my own. And the more still and the more quiet you can get, the more bored they will get with you, and they will go somewhere else. But they will challenge you. Those 3 temptations over and over and over again. And on Friday, when we go into the Decode the Mirror class, I'm going to tell you guys exactly what your childhood was, and you're going to be pissed off. I'm going to tell you exactly how they wrote it for you, what they did to you, and how they keep reinstalling it inside of you. Because it didn't happen because of karma. Even karma is a lie, you guys. The wheel of torture, okay? The tikkun, that was not because we were naughty. It's because it fit their model. But see, they can't control your blood type. They can't control the blood in your body. They cannot control those wings that are trying to break open right now. They cannot control that spine that's trying to light up like an antenna. And they're afraid. And so we know what desperate criminals do when they're afraid. They play lowball. So when it shows up in your life, say, I do not consent to the illusion. I am the flame. I am source from source. And say it like you're bored. But say it with your chest open, not seed like, I do not contest. Like, stand in your grace. This is your planet. These are our children. Who else is going to protect them? They're scrolling. And you don't have to try to get them on this bandwagon. They will wake up when you do. So if you're looking at your kids like they're not awake, I'm scared for them, it's actually because you're not. Because you're the observer. They're 100% awake when you are. They're part of your root. They are your fruit. When your root changes, so does your fruit. So what do we got to work on? We got to work on becoming the source, remembering instead of what do I do, seeing every inconvenience as an opportunity to keep your own energy and instead of becoming food, knowing that every color that's in your environment is actually there to stimulate one of your chakras out of alignment. Pay attention. That's one thing we're working on the Decode the Mirror class this week is all the color hypnotism that's around. Your strongest ally right now is your own root chakra. And what color is it out in the world? Stop. It's teaching you to disconnect from your own root subliminally and make you hungry. You got to start paying attention to everything with no judgment. You're in a video game. This isn't real life. And the only reason you are actually technically creating your own reality is because you're observing it and consenting, not because you're getting to make it up. You're looking at your own debt and consenting by agreeing that it's yours. You're looking at the money in your bank account and you're agreeing in it by going, and that's consent. It's the observer effect. And so it's part of structured universal law. So if you're not going to join us in this Decode class, you need to start really studying quantum observation and how it actually works, because this is how you're losing your consent. You are losing your consent through quantum observation. Okay, and you have no idea that you're consenting. Anything you observe is a consent, especially if you have an opinion or a feeling about it. Does anybody have any questions? I told you I was going to hold your hand. I am virtually. You might as well ask. Or share.
I'll do a quick share. You're talking about the metals. Can you hear me okay? All right. So just intuitively, like I've always loved like highlights with my hair, but then I started growing them out. And not like I know I'm the creator of my own reality, but it was like this constant wheel.
Right. I wanted to give your body a rest.
Want to give it a rest. Yeah. So, um, I've actually found that I love my natural caramely color coming back in, like embracing that, loving that.
Yeah.
So just giving it a little TLC, like doing what I need to do to it at home, as the rest of it is growing out. But then also through my intuition, my body's own wisdom, saying, okay, like for the longest time I was doing celery juice, and then that stopped. It's like
Yeah,
it
like
wasn't
all the
something
foods are gone. We're good.
right.
Hmm.
And then it was more so of the heavy metal detox, but through the wild blueberries with a banana. And then I would add cilantro. Like if I was craving it, there's obviously something in there that my body needed.
Hmm.
But then guess what I picked up this week?
Hmm.
Celery. And that
Hmm.
was yesterday. So I'm like, okay, but it's not, I never felt like it was something, needed for every day. It's like
Right.
maybe every other day or but just like that additional cleaning house.
Yeah, it's a Trojan horse. It's just daily upkeep. Right.
Yeah. But there's definitely been that warfare going on because
Good.
with these changes and these events, like getting out more in the community, which was more my heart's desire, like con continuing to do things from home, but also getting out real life, real time, meeting people on a one-to-one basis. And even with the event yesterday, um, there was this tug of war going on in my head yesterday, even leading up to before I stepped in the door.
Yep.
But when I connected with another one of my soul sisters, I could sense that what was going on for her, um, and no judgment. It was kind of looking at the doom and gloom part of it, but I, sprung into action. I said, just started helping her bring stuff in.
Yeah.
The long story short, I said, and it was just like the most natural thing. I said, yes, there's things going on right now, but I truly believe that the Lord brought us together for a reason.
Hmm.
And it ended up being the most beautiful, most intimate, smaller scale event, but
Hmm.
to have those one-on-ones with others
Hmm.
and looking at that and having that direct eye-to-eye contact with others. Um, and I remember, sharing that with Andy quite a few times, like when you see someone and sometimes just simply sharing a smile and
Hmm.
then they smile because everybody's going through something, everybody, myself included, but sometimes
Everyone is choosing.
as simple as a smile, it lights them up. You feel lit.
Hmm.
But yeah, I will share that there has definitely been the
Good.
stuff, it's been coming in. It's been coming in, but
And that means you're doing it right.
yeah. So this was I simply wanted to say thank you because this is confirming because there's a part where it's like, oh, that old voice, like, oh, you're going backwards. No, like, no, really,
That's a program.
it's like
Yep.
that squeeze effect, being squeezed and
Attraction.
pressurized.
Hmm.
But yeah, I love that. I wrote that down about living each day like this is literally the last year because it does shift that whole trajectory of how you're living each moment each day and looking at that and taking those moments to enjoy the moment and everything that led up to this present moment.
Yeah, because you know what? That might be more literal than I can share. So,
Oh, yeah, I've been feeling some stuff.
and again, it'll be an organic expression. Won't be like, we'll be very aware, but you won't be on this earth. We're going
Yeah.
home. We didn't come for fame, we came for the flame. We came to bring the light to the dark. So the small intimate groups, the one-on-one connections, that is so much more important right now than followers or book sales or this, right? And this is why like each one of my songs, like I write it in a way where I'm like, I hope someone hears this line. Because if they hear this line, they're going to wake up, they're going to remember. And I spent hours writing this music and I don't care. I just imagine like someone's going to find the song one day and it's going to shame them, just like your words or your art, right? Because we didn't come for the system. And everything you just said about even your hair, like when the programs start to wash away, guys, you're going to realize that even they tried to create our beauty from their dead beauty, right? Like even the sun one day said, take those acrylics off your nails. I want to connect with your fingertips. And I was like, what? Okay. But they're so cute. He was like, okay. I'm like, all right, well, these are kind of cute too. And now I'm like, I really like them. I feel so much more. I'm feeling. So it's almost like we have been taught what beauty looks like by the Walking Dead. And as you start to get the metal and the parasites out of your body, your skin is going to start glowing. Your age is going to start going reverse. Like all my eyebrows grew back. My hair started to get thick. And all I'm doing is cleaning myself out and grounding and anchoring to source. So I'm not working out heavier. I'm not trying to lose weight. I'm just cleaning house. Because like I said, it's not about fear-based actions. It's about, I genuinely love my body. I love my family. I love my hair. I love this. I love that. Because you might not have it in a year from now. You might look different. The system doesn't let you imagine that without death. But you don't die. You radiate. So you are here to bloom. That's why I said you cannot think like a seed and be a bloom. That's one world. That's underground as a slave. Blooms are the experiences you had with your soul sister. That was a bloom moment. That was a bloom day. Some days are going to feel like seeds. Some days are going to feel like bloom. But I'll tell you, it is those moments that if you can hold on to them, you will actually create a world out of them. If you sit back and wait and you're bored and you let your moods decide, you're building that world too. Because we get to create. We're the flame. And they've just taught us how to create the way they want to create from the moment we were born. So it's in what you think, what you do, what you feel, right? Go back to Neville's work. You don't have to feel the way you're feeling. You might be hypnotized to feel a certain way because they need a little bit more, grief from this part of the country. You realize that's why every major team wins in certain areas is because they need a certain type of emotion in a certain area. And so they rig the games so they can stockpile energy from Kansas City for 2 years from the Chiefs, and then they absolutely suck when they're done. You guys, this is all rigged. They're building underground stuff here in Kansas City, and so they needed a lot of energy to support the ones down below while they were building. And that's why we won the Super Bowl for 2 years in a row. Not because we're good. I'm not saying we're not talented, but they're pretty good actors. You guys, everything you've ever imagined in this life, it's all been a lie. And that's why it's going to be easier for you to let it go. Stop participating. Okay? If you participate, that's consent. I'm going to leave you there. All right. I love you guys. Class is at 10 o'clock in the morning. I gave you guys the bonus class. Those of you who are doing the Decode the class, I already gave you your bonus class from last week. And we'll just begin again. Okay, I'm not going to try to make up the classes from last week because we're just in the present moment. We're vibing where we are, and we're just going to keep moving forward. All right. Love you guys, and I'll see some of you on Friday. Bye.